Hello, everyone. It's Bianca here, professionally trained private chef, certified holistic nutritionist, and meal planning expert. Because as a private chef for as many years as I've been, you ultimately become a meal planning expert because I just plan so many meals and I've planned so many meals. So, we are here today to talk about 30-minute meals because when you are endeavoring to eat healthy and eat well, if you can have really good 30-minute or low time investment options for meals, that means you're going to do it more and you're going to be able to experience the benefits of eating healthy and meal planning without it having to be these long, lengthy prep sessions. So here's the thing about 30-minute meals, and I'll break it to you right out of the gates, is that 30-minute meals require meal planning. You cannot have effortless and easy 30-minute meals if you don't plan ahead. That's just not a part of it, unfortunately. And so, since we're talking about simple stepper strategies, we're obviously going to be talking about meal planning. But as someone who has planned meals in both my life and for other people and for clients and helped clients rise in their meal planning acumen, I can tell you this. You might start and it might feel hard, it might feel time consuming, but I want you to remember to stick with it. As long as it's edible, sweet. And also, the more you do it, the better you become, as with anything in life. And so 30-minute meals require a few things from you, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing that you have to do when it comes to 30-minute meals has nothing to do with food in the first place. And it has to do with being honest about your skill level and also the time that you have to devote to meal planning. So if you aren't comfortable in the kitchen, every meal that you plan in the beginning might be a 45-minute meal. It might be an hour-long meal. I doubt that, but just know that going into it that you're going to have to start somewhere. And you might not, feel super efficient and quick, but the more you do it, the better you're going to become. But you also have to meet yourself where you are at. And so recipe selection is going to be essential because that takes into account how much time you have and how much skill you have. One of the things I say to clients is if you look at an ingredient list and it's a long, long list, lots of steps, that's something you want to close the book on and maybe save for a day later down the line, or for a day when you have time to devote to doing a lot of prep work. And I don't care if the book says 30-minute meals. If there's a ton of ingredients that all require prepping, that means that you have to invest that time. And if you don't want to, then that recipe is going to feel time consuming. And so in the culinary world, in the chef world, we call steps anything like if you have to do moves. So it's like if you have to move from, a mixing bowl to a saute pan to the oven, from a cutting board to, you see where I'm going? So it's like every action is a step. And if you're also reading a recipe and it seems like the steps are long, like there's a lot of instructions, maybe it's a recipe to save for another time. Now, I also say to people, if you read a recipe and there at any point is a point where you say, what? That is not a recipe for you at this time. Only because if you don't even know what they're asking you to do and there's a level of you have to just go research what they're trying to tell you, that adds steps and that adds time. Find recipes that you feel comfortable with, that when you read it, you kind of have an understanding of what's going to happen, because there you will get some meals prepped, you'll start flexing your meal planning muscle, and you'll also work on your efficiency and your comfort in the kitchen, which is only going to help you do this more. But if you start out of the gates with a really step heavy and difficult and long recipe, that's going to feel overwhelming. You're not going to like the process, and then you're going to be reticent to do it again. And that's not what we want. So the next step is, and last thing I just want to mention, I like to keep ingredient lists very short for my recipes. And in my program, the Meal Planning Masterclass, the recipes are all almost 30-minute meals because I like to keep them short. And so other than salt, pepper, oil, and white vinegar, if an ingredient has, 5 to 7 ingredient lists, or a recipe has 5 to 7 ingredients, I think that's a good recipe because it's short, it's concise, and it probably is going to highlight the freshness of those products too, just from a flavor perspective. So, the less ingredients, the better, the less steps, the better, but also choose recipes based on where your skill level is at. That's only going to help you do this more. So the next thing is you want to utilize equipment. So do you have a slow cooker? Do you have an Instant Pot? Do you have a Thermomix? Do you have a sheet pan? Do you have this equipment that is going to enable you to make meals quickly or sort of put meal planning and meal prep on autopilot? So a slow cooker, you put everything in the slow cooker, and you come home and it's already ready. It's miraculous. The Instant Pot can shave time down like incredibly. Like you can roast a butternut squash in like 7 minutes as opposed to like 45 minutes. So that's pretty amazing. It also has slow cooker capabilities. So the Instant Pot's pretty great. The Thermomix, it allows you to like make soups and sauces and blends and heat it up and do it all within the compartment. So that's pretty cool too. And then sheet pans. Sheet pan meals are where you put everything on a sheet pan. And of course, things that are going to cook at the same time, or at least cut into similar sizes so they cook at the same time. Put everything on the sheet pan, you put it in the oven, you set a timer, you walk away. When it goes ding, 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 you arrive and dinner is ready. And so if you have time-saving equipment in your kitchen, use it. If you need time-saving equipment in your kitchen, get some, because it's only going to serve to help you do this more consistently. I keep saying it all the time, but the thing about meal planning and why people sort of falter at it is that they start and they don't really start with sort of like the fundamentals in place. And then so it feels hard. It's like taxing every week having to do it. And you're sort of like, but I don't want to eat what I made. And it's just like, you're not getting that positive feedback loop. And so when you use time-saving equipment and you're making recipes that are delicious, but they're also easy, that only stands to make you want to do it more because you're reaping the benefits of yummy meals, time-saving, and all of that on your life. And I mean, that cannot be overstated. And so what is the best 30-minute meal investment? I'm actually going to say two. The slow cooker. If you are in the market for a slow cooker, I say go for it. Get one that has a timer so you can truly set it and forget it. It'll warm things. It won't cook things past the time. It'll like turn it to a warm setting. You arrive, you just eat. But also the Instant Pot is really great too because, like I said, it does the things that a slow cooker would do, but it also does things like pressure cook, which takes cooking time like down to the studs as far as time is concerned, and that's pretty great too. And so what I like about slow cooker meals, more so than, say, an Instant Pot meal, is that it really is just put everything in and walk away and you come back and there's dinner. So if your skill level is not where you want it to be or where you even desire it to be, but you still want the benefits of healthy homemade meals, a slow cooker is great for you. And so one of the things that I hear people gripe about when it comes to slow cooker meals is, you know, I want it to feel fresh. There's only a few things. There's only a few things that you can sort of like make, a few styles of things that you can make in slow cookers. Like you can only really make, you know, bolognese style things, stews, and like, you know, heavy stick to your ribs meals. But how you make those meals feel fresh is you add fresh ingredients at the end of the cooking process. So if you want to take something like a stew and you want to sort of brighten it up, you could add fresh herbs, fresh spinach, fresh arugula, fresh anything really. Once it's cooked, you just toss it in and you're getting the dynamic and the texture of fresh and both cooked. And that is really nice. And it's also nice for your body to get a vast array of fresh and, you know, cooked vegetables. Things like tomatoes actually become better for you when they're cooked. So cooked food also has its benefits from a nutrition point of view. So yeah, just add like herbs and spices and like those like really fun, like dynamic things that fresh is better in a sense, but add them to slow cooker meals, which really takes only 2 seconds. And then you sort of like combated that whole feeling of like slow cooker meals feel heavy and stodgy. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't speak on convenience products. And so convenience products, there are good convenience products in foods and there are bad convenience products in foods. You know, convenience in fast food drive-thrus, that's a bad kind. But convenience in, you know, a pre-cooked chicken or pre-cut fresh vegetables or frozen vegetables, which are amazing as well, or prepared sauces. I mean, all of those things are amazing tools that you can use as far as meal planning is concerned. And so think about how long it takes to roast a chicken. at least an hour. If you can buy a pre-roasted chicken, just watch and make sure that, they're not using excessive sugar or things on the rubs and whatnot. Just ask and they'll tell you, and they have to. Then you are cutting literally an hour plus of prep that you have to do, but you're still getting to use roasted chicken. Pre-cut fresh vegetables. You can find them so readily now, and if you can't find them fresh, you can likely find them frozen. So what you want to just make sure with frozen vegetables is you want to buy things that are like sturdy and hardy in texture, that will have been frozen but will thaw with the same degree of integrity, like textural integrity. Things like broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, sweet potatoes, squash of any kind, those will freeze and thaw deliciously. I love frozen kale, but I saute that frozen kale, but I just happen to love it because they do all of the de-stemming and all of that stuff, and I'm like here for it. So, and also pre-made sauces. So you can take a pre-made like pesto and just add a little bit more fresh basil to it and spin it around in a food processor and a blender. And that sort of brightens back up something that has been jarred and prepared with something fresh. Right? So looking at things that are convenience products and saying, well, maybe I feel like it needs this or that, and adding this or that, but getting the benefit of the pre-made aspect of that food. Because here's the thing, there's no shame in the game of convenience products if you are using it to consistently meal plan and make healthy meals for your family. I mean, do what you got to do to make this habit stick, because meal planning will change your life. It'll change your health. It is something that is sort of like the catalyst to all of the potentially wellness goals or like energy goals and all the goals that you have as far as, feeling good in your body is concerned. Because if you're not meal planning, you're probably eating out and you're probably making bad decisions and gaining weight. If you're not meal planning and you have digestive issues, you're probably only exacerbating those things. But if you really narrow in on the mechanics of meal planning and how can I maximize the time that I do have to make healthy meals for myself, what you're going to see is a trickle-down effect in the rest of your health and well-being. And that's why I love meal planning so much, because it truly is the vehicle that drives forward rising to your healthiest and highest self as far as the food that we eat is concerned. So I'm Bianca. I'm a professionally trained private chef. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, and I'm also a meal planning expert. And I also have my program, the Meal Planning Masterclass, if you're interested in really nailing down how you can meal plan consistently for you and your family. And I would love to have you in it. So if you have any questions, you can just post them in the comment section here. I'm also going to email this out to everyone who joined. So, you'll get it in some way, shape, or form. Have a wonderful day. Bon appetit.